A common mistake among older people is to distribute protein unevenly throughout the day. They often eat little protein at breakfast and lunch, trying to compensate by eating more at dinner. However, this approach does not produce the desired results. Muscles absorb protein most actively during a limited period of time after eating, approximately 3 to 4 hours. Therefore, taking a large amount of protein only once a day misses out on many opportunities to stimulate muscle growth and recovery. The optimal option is considered to be an even distribution of protein in the diet throughout the day. It is recommended to consume from 25 to 30 grams of quality protein at each meal. This also applies to breakfast, which should be replaced by Greek yogurt, eggs, cottage cheese, or a protein shake instead of the usual toast or cereal. For lunch and dinner, you should choose lean meats, fish, legumes, tofu, or dairy products. A scientific study conducted by specialists from the University of Texas found that older people who followed a certain diet were able to increase muscle mass by 1.2 pounds in just 3 months. This did not require changing their lifestyle, increasing physical activity, or taking special supplements. The key was the correct meal schedule. Moreover, even protein intake helps maintain stable sugar levels, control hunger, and improve mental abilities, which tend to decline with age. Therefore, if a person cares about sufficient protein intake, it is important not to ignore the correct distribution of meals, as this greatly affects the final result. Small changes in the daily diet can turn ordinary dishes into a powerful tool for health. The fifth important habit for maintaining muscle mass is related to vitamin D, which can be called the hidden enemy of strength. Many people think that this vitamin is important only for bones, but in fact, it plays a significant, although often underestimated role in maintaining muscle strength with age. The alarming fact is that more than 80% of older people suffer from vitamin D deficiency, and most do not even know it. Often, older people do not pay attention to the fact that vitamin D is important not only for bones, but is also a key element in the normal functioning of muscles. Muscle cells have receptors that are sensitive to vitamin D, and without it, muscle tissue repair and growth processes are severely impaired. Impressive data from a study published in the prestigious journal JAMA Inner Medicine shows that older adults with normal vitamin D levels had 25% more muscle strength than those with low levels. They also had faster reaction times and an improved sense of balance, which significantly reduced the risk of falls, an important factor in maintaining independence and an active lifestyle. In addition, over the years, the skin loses its ability to effectively produce vitamin D, which worsens the situation. When exposed to sunlight, the body synthesizes vitamin D, but by the age of 60, this ability can decrease by about half. This means that even with enough time in the sun, an older person may not always get the amount of this important vitamin he or she needs. The official recommended daily intake of vitamin D for older adults is 600 international units. But research shows that this is often insufficient to maintain optimal levels in the blood. Many health experts recommend increasing daily intake to 24,000 international units, especially if a person spends little time outdoors or does not eat foods rich in vitamin D, for example, fatty fish and fortified dairy products. However, there is an important point that should not be overlooked when taking vitamin D supplements, especially in large doses. For proper absorption of calcium, sufficient intake of vitamin K2 is necessary. Otherwise, calcium may be deposited not in bones and muscles, but in the walls of arteries, which significantly increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Vitamin K2 can be obtained from fermented soy products, some hard cheeses, egg yolks, and organ meats. So what can you do to avoid such complications? First of all, it is important to consult a doctor and take a blood test to determine the level of vitamin D in order to choose the appropriate dosage and maintain high health. Vitamin D levels are considered insufficient if they are below 40 nanograms per milliliter. In this case, it is recommended to take supplements containing vitamin D3, preferably together with vitamin K2. In addition, it is worth enriching your diet with foods rich in these vitamins. Do not forget about the importance of sunlight. Try to be in the sun for about 15 to 20 minutes in the middle of the day, when possible. It seems like simple advice, but the correct use of these nutrients can have a decisive impact on maintaining strength and health, preventing the gradual weakening of the body. The fourth important point is chronic inflammation, which is the invisible enemy of muscle mass. When talking about inflammation, many people imagine clear symptoms: swollen joints, redness, and pain. However, the most dangerous form is hidden inflammation, which occurs without obvious signs. It is often called chronic, sluggish, or inflammatory aging. For older people, this factor often remains underestimated, although it is this factor that largely destroys muscle tissue. Deep inside the body, an invisible but destructive process unfolds over time. Microscopic foci of inflammation accumulate. The causes of this condition are associated with many aspects of everyday life, including lack of healthy sleep, imbalance of intestinal microflora, stress loads, and hidden dietary factors. Intolerance is a chronic inflammation that does not suddenly manifest itself with bright symptoms, but gradually weakens the body. A recent study conducted at the University of Tavek revealed an alarming connection in older people. Those with high levels of inflammation lost muscle mass 3 times faster than those with lower levels. This happened even with the same protein intake and regular exercise. The main reason is that inflammation disrupts the anabolic processes necessary for muscle growth. Simply put, the inflammatory process complicates the accumulation of muscle mass and accelerates its destruction. However, those who retain strength and endurance in old age, the so-called superagers, should not despair. They have one thing in common: they have found effective methods to keep inflammation levels in the body low. Here are some healthy habits that can serve as an example to follow. First, it is extremely important to pay special attention to adequate sleep. Regularly falling asleep and waking up at the same time in complete darkness can reduce the level of inflammatory cytokines by up to 40%. Also, we must not forget about the health of the intestines, because it is one of the main sources of inflammation in older people. Superagers strive for variety in their diet, eating more than 30 types of plant foods every week, as well as fermented foods. Foods such as yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut play an important role in maintaining healthy gut flora. However, it is important to be careful when planning your physical activity, as excessive exercise can cause inflammatory reactions in the body. For older people, moderate activity every day with the addition of short but intense workouts a couple of times a week is the best choice to help maintain health and vitality. Proper nutrition is of great importance in the fight against inflammation, which should include products with anti-inflammatory properties. These include fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids, curcumin and turmeric, as well as polyphenols from berries, green tea, and olive oil. These substances help reduce the activity of the immune system and protect muscle tissue. To get maximum benefit, it is recommended to consume 2 to 3 grams of omega-3 per day. If you have any doubts about the state of inflammatory processes in the body, you should consult a doctor to undergo an analysis for high-sensitivity C-reactive protein. This test can detect hidden inflammation. Usually, in elderly people with good health, the level of this protein does not exceed 1 milligram per liter, but in many it can be 3 to 5 times higher, and they are often unaware of the presence of inflammation. Therefore, it is so important to keep this indicator low. Inflammation plays a vital role in muscle protection, and even the most carefully planned diet and exercise program will be ineffective if the body is constantly experiencing inflammatory stress. Therefore, first of all, it is necessary to reduce inflammation in order to create optimal conditions for muscle growth and strengthening. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are often discussed in nutrition, but after the age of 60, it is worth paying special attention to micronutrients. These subtle substances do not directly participate in muscle building, but they ensure high-quality protein absorption and maximum return on exercise. Unfortunately, many older adults are deficient in at least one important micronutrient, often without even realizing it. Magnesium, a key electrolyte, is often underestimated, although it is involved in over 300 biochemical processes related to muscle activity, including energy production, muscle contraction, and muscle repair. Research shows that about 70% of older adults do not get enough magnesium. One study found that older adults with normal magnesium levels had significantly higher grip strength and physical endurance than those with even a slight deficiency. To increase your magnesium intake, it is recommended to include dark green leafy vegetables, various nuts, seeds, and legumes in your diet, which will help maintain muscle strength and overall health. A little dark chocolate takes its place among the healthy ingredients, followed by creatine. Don't think that this supplement is just for bodybuilders. Creatine performs a key function, helping muscle cells store and use energy. It is especially valuable for older people, as it helps increase physical strength and improve brain function. Regular intake of 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily can lead to increased muscle mass, increased strength, and even improved cognitive abilities in older adults. This positive effect becomes especially noticeable when combined with strength training. No less important is vitamin B12, the need for which increases with age. Over time, the body loses the ability to effectively absorb this vitamin, which is especially true for those who use proton pump inhibitors or metformin, drugs often prescribed to older people. Vitamin B12 plays a vital role in maintaining the health of the nervous system, energy metabolism, and the transmission of nerve signals to muscles. It should be emphasized that the most effective form is methylated B12, known as methylcobalamin. Unlike cheap synthetic analogs found in multivitamin complexes, it provides the best results. We mustn't forget about micronutrients such as zinc, which helps restore muscle tissue and supports the body's immune defenses. Selenium functions to protect muscles from oxidative stress, and chromium improves insulin sensitivity, which helps nutrients penetrate muscle cells more effectively and promote their growth and recovery. All these elements together create a powerful complex for maintaining health and physical activity, especially with age. A long-term study conducted at the University of Tavek found that older adults with optimal levels of certain micronutrients retained 22% more muscle mass over 5 years than those with a deficiency. So what can you do to improve your well-being? Don't rely on guesswork. It's best to see a doctor who can order a micronutrient analysis and help identify potential deficiencies in your body. It is very important to give preference to the use of natural products rich in vitamins and minerals. Taking supplements should be conscious and thoughtful, based on the real needs of the body, and not on thoughtless following of fashion trends. Even with a balanced diet with a high protein content and intensive training, you cannot fully feel the benefits without sufficient support of microelements. These substances, like a well-coordinated mechanism, ensure the stable operation of all body systems. Another important point that often goes unnoticed is the neuromuscular connection, which is a hidden factor in determining strength and health as we age. When it comes to muscle loss, many people think of a decrease in muscle fibers or a lack of physical activity. But what if the real reason is not in the muscles themselves, but in the ability of the nervous system to effectively control them? Indeed, there is a close connection between the brain and muscles that plays a key role in maintaining their function. The neuromuscular junction, the link between your brain and your muscles, plays a vital role in maintaining strength, coordination, and independence as you age. When this fundamental connection between your brain and body begins to weaken, often unnoticed, no amount of muscle building or intense training can fully restore what has been lost. The key is that after age 60, your neuromuscular junctions, like electrical wires, quickly deteriorate unless you take deliberate steps to strengthen them. Think of the electrical grid. If the wires are damaged, even the most powerful power station will not function, will light the device. There is good news, too. Current scientific evidence confirms that certain habits and practices can not only maintain, but also restore these vital pathways from the brain to the muscles. This helps older people maintain strength, agility, and mental clarity. So what do those who manage to stay young and energetic into old age do? They focus their efforts on improving coordination, not just building physical strength. Doing exercises that require precision and coordination of movements, such as Tai Chi, dancing, tennis, or table tennis, activate the brain and nervous system in ways that walking or lifting weights simply cannot. A study conducted in 2020 found that older adults who performed coordination exercises twice a week had 31% better neuromuscular connections compared to those who did regular exercise. In addition, special nutrients are used to maintain a healthy nervous system. Compounds such as alpha-lipoic acid and acetylcarnitine play an important role in protecting neuromuscular junctions from the negative effects of oxidative stress. Vitamins, especially the active form of vitamin B1, benfotiamine, and plant extracts such as huperzine A, also help increase levels of acetylcholine, a key neurotransmitter needed to transmit signals from nerve cells to muscles. Another important point is stimulation of the vagus nerve. Although it may seem unusual, simple breathing techniques such as square breathing, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and holding it again for 4 seconds can activate the parasympathetic nervous system and improve neuromuscular communication. Research shows that just 5 minutes of such exercises per day can increase neuromuscular activation by about 15%. Finally, maintaining cognitive clarity is important, as deterioration in mental function is often accompanied by a loss of muscle mass, which negatively affects the overall health of older people. They are closely related because the same neural networks responsible for thinking and memory are also involved in controlling movements. A study conducted at Columbia University found that older adults who regularly engage in complex mental tasks, such as solving puzzles, learning new skills, or improving their memory, maintain much better neuromuscular function than those who do not. While most exercise tips focus on maintaining physical fitness, people who maintain a sharp mind and body in old age understand that without training their brains, they cannot achieve the results they desire. Importantly, these healthy habits are easy to do, enjoyable, and do not require going to the gym or buying expensive equipment. The number one habit that has been found to be the most effective anti-aging tool is a gradual increase in strength training. It is what sets energetic and independent seniors in their 80s apart from their inactive, poorly healthy peers. It is not about miracle drugs or exotic superfoods, and it is not just about walking, swimming, or yoga, although these exercises are undoubtedly useful. According to experts from the University of Tavek, strength training with a gradual increase in weight is the closest method to the elixir of youth. After 30 years, adults lose from 3 to 8% of muscle mass every decade, and after 60, this process accelerates, but this can be effectively combated. Loss of muscle mass with age affects not only appearance or athletic performance, but also leads to decreased strength, poor balance, mobility, slower metabolism, and decreased independence. It should be understood that muscles are not preserved on their own through an active lifestyle alone. To maintain or increase muscle mass in adulthood, it is necessary to subject the muscles to adequate loads on a regular basis. In this process, a gradual increase in load plays a key role, which is the basis for effective physical training for those who want to maintain a youthful body and spirit. People who stay in great physical shape as they age follow 4 main principles. First, they focus on intensity rather than just the number of exercises performed. Short, intense strength training sessions have a significantly better effect on aging muscles than long, low-intensity sessions. For example, a McMaster University study found that just 2 weeks of intense training produce greater muscle gains than 5 weeks of moderate exercise. It's important not just to lift weights for the sake of lifting weights, but to properly fatigue your muscles so that you can't do another rep without losing your form. That feeling is the starting point for muscle growth. In addition, special attention is paid to exercises that involve several muscle groups simultaneously. This approach allows the body to be used as efficiently as possible and contributes to more significant progress in maintaining and gaining muscle mass, even in adulthood. Instead of isolated movements such as leg curls or leg extensions, older adults are increasingly choosing exercises that involve the entire body and mimic everyday activities. These include squats, chair raises, push-ups, even against a wall, and rowing or pulling with resistance bands. Exercises such as deadlifts or hip thrusts, when done with proper form, are also common. These types of workouts involve more muscle groups, stimulate hormone production, and develop the functional strength needed for everyday life. In addition, older people closely monitor their progress and systematically increase the complexity of exercises. Simply repeating the usual light loads will not bring the expected result. Such people keep records of their workouts, whether in a notebook or with the help of modern gadgets, and strive to increase the load weekly, do more repetitions, use more resistance, or increase the duration of muscle work under load. They also carefully control the pace of the exercises, especially the slow eccentric phase, that is, the smooth lowering of the weight. This technique creates greater tension in the muscles and promotes their growth with minimal stress on the joints. This method is one of the safest and most effective for strengthening muscles in older people. What is especially inspiring is that even those who start exercising after 70 or 80 years old are capable of achieving impressive results. A study conducted at the University of Alabama found that a 12-week progressive strength training program helped older adults increase muscle mass by more than 1.3 kilograms and improve strength by 35%. In addition to strengthening muscles, the participants experienced improved cognitive abilities, increased bone density, and stabilized blood glucose levels. All this was achieved with just 2 30-minute workouts per week. Many older adults often avoid strength training, fearing that it may be too risky or inappropriate for their age. In fact, the main threat is precisely the reluctance to engage in this type of physical activity. Without regular weight training, muscle loss is inevitable, which leads to serious problems, including general weakness, an increased likelihood of falls, and, as a result, a loss of independence in everyday activities. If there is one important habit that can change your life for the better, it is gradually increasing the load in strength training. Strength training is safe, accessible, and can significantly improve quality of life, regardless of a person's current physical condition. It is important to remember that you do not have to start exercising on your own. A qualified trainer, physiotherapist, or carefully selected online guides can help you on your way to confident and safe training. There are 7 scientifically proven habits that help older adults not only embrace their age, but also thrive during this period of life. Whether you are 60, 70, 80, or older, it is never too late to start becoming stronger, smarter, and more independent than before. Aging does not necessarily mean an inevitable decline in activity, especially since science is constantly discovering new ways to effectively exercise, eat right, and live a fulfilling life. The key is to gradually introduce healthy habits, one after another. Your task is to choose just one habit to start implementing today. Don't try to change everything at once, just focus on one aspect. This could be, for example, increasing the amount of protein in your morning diet by 30 grams, performing an isometric exercise for 10 seconds, or taking a daily walk in the sun to get the necessary dose of vitamin D. Whatever option you choose, it is important to do it consciously and purposefully. You need to lay a solid foundation on which you can later grow new healthy habits. Every effort you make now is an investment in your future self. the version of yourself that as an adult will be able to enjoy travel, dancing, and freedom without limits.